on this computer. And then I'm gonna live us on Facebook. Actually, let me do this. I'm gonna promote you to a panelist now. All right, I think this will work. We're gonna find out. Okay, can you go ahead and turn your camera off actually and mute yourself?
I certainly can.
Yeah, and then in a minute I'll tell you to pop on. So, all right. Okay. All right, here we go. It's my theme music. I think we're going live on Facebook. It's always the first 2 minutes of this is always me saying, are we going live on Facebook or not? Which is always really funny. Or at least it's funny for me. All right. So yeah, all right. We're live on Facebook. And I'm gonna share in here. Okay. All right, so welcome everybody to Coaching Dojo Live. We had a little bit of a technical problem, so there's a bit of a delay, but happy to be here with all of you. I'm going to keep doing these Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern every Monday. Last week, we're supposed to have Nazma on. There was a technical breakdown with her, so and I didn't come on. And I actually have a plan for now if people don't show up, so that's what's going on with that. Updates from me. So I'm currently living in Colorado. I'm moving to Portland next month. I'm about halfway through my 9-month No Woman Vision Quest. The 18th is my halfway point, so I'm excited about that. I'm actively working on a book. I've got about 10 beta readers, all about coaching and sales. So as that becomes available, I'll let you know. I'm also going to be doing some sort of small group coaching program. I've been playing around with some different names. It's primarily for new coaches or coaches that want to rejuvenate their business. So it's going to be about improving your coaching ability, a lot about sales. We're going to talk a lot about sales and building your business, as well as some of these key fundamental business building block things that are going on. So I'm thinking about calling it the embodied coach mastermind, and but I'm playing with that name a little bit. So if that's something you're interested in being involved with, let me know. But I want to kind of get into the coaching today since we've got an amazing coaching guest. So in just a minute, I'm going to ask Dan King to come on the camera. So Dan and I have been talking for a while, since I think more than a year ago, we started having conversations about where he's at in his coaching career. He had a coaching business that he was selling. He since started a new coaching business. And what I love about Dan is the level of brilliance and attentiveness he brings to his coaching, and also the business acumen. A lot of coaches sort of have this like very touchy-feely kind of vibe and no business smarts. And Dan has a real mind and ability to see the opportunities in business and build businesses in a very interesting way. And so he's kind of unusual in the coach space. Usually it's a lot of coaching ability, not a ton of business ability. And Dan's got an incredible amount of business ability and a good amount of coaching ability as well. But people typically don't come in with a strong business background. He was also in the coaching dojo this last round. I had a great opportunity to work with him and opening his heart and having him be present to his clients, because that's a challenge for any of us who have a big brain, is to how to balance it out with the big heart as well. So for me, Dan is brilliance. He is care. He is visionary, and I'm excited to have him come on to Coaching Dojo Live today. So Dan, you want to hop on, turn your camera on?
I do. Hello, Toku. Very good to be with you.
Yeah, and Dan normally is in New York, but you're in Nova Scotia right now, right?
That's right.
Which is not a breakfast snack from Scandinavia. It's actually a location in Canada.
Yes, although I could kind of use a breakfast snack from Scandinavia right now. You've made me hungry.
Yeah. There's an amazing restaurant in Portland called Bröder, and they do these Scandinavian breakfasts like white fish and like a little fried egg. And I hope
Mm,
they're still open. I've been like reading a lot about the Portland restaurant scene, and there have been a couple of restaurants that I really, really love that have shut down because of
yeah.
because of COVID. So it's one of those things. Blue Star Donuts down to like 2 locations. It's my favorite donut shop. So they're hopefully they'll stay open at least a couple locations, but they had to close a lot. It's a great donut shop. So
You just reminded me there is a coach in Portland you would, I think, really jive with, who I'm going to make a note if you want to introduce you to. I'll tell you a bit about him later. Don't want us to get too off topic.
okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. Cool. So we're gonna do some coaching today. Thank you for filling out your form in advance. I appreciated that. And you could talk about that or something else. But I'd love to just start by just being with you for a moment. That'd be okay?
That would be great.
Cool. Oh, and I should have said this before, but at some point I might pause and talk to the audience. So if that happens, just so you know, that's not too weird for you. Is that okay?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, cool. All right. Thank you. So what do you want to talk about today?
So there's two issues that I've been wrestling with. I think you wanted this to be a business conversation. So there's two sort of businessy
Sure.
issues.
It can be whatever, but yeah, business is good.
Okay. So the first one, I don't know if we'll have time for both. Shall I tell you what they both are? Shall I
Yeah,
tell you
yeah. But yeah, so we'll figure out, and they may be related. We'll find out together.
I think that I have a hunch that they may be. So the first one is this new business that I've been running. We have a really, at this point, very well proven model to be in conversation with our ideal clients. We have not yet gotten to a point where we can do something I think which is important, which is before we present a proposal, which can cause a little sticker shock, get a sense of exactly either what their budget is or where their thinking is on money. So this is
Okay.
the first thing that I've been wrestling with. And we did this the other week. And I think the deal that we did this with will close, but there was certainly some sticker shock. And I realized we weren't really co-creating this with the other person. We just sort of presented at least the price tag portion to him. And I think that there's a more elegant way to handle that.
Okay.
That's the first.
I'm going to pause and just say hi to a couple people. So we have Anna. Anna's on the watching, and David as well. So welcome you guys. Please feel free to drop questions in as we go along with this. Okay. So the first one is you made a proposal. You didn't find out their budget in advance, and there was a bit of sticker shock. And you would just want to talk through that a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah, I think there's a process by which we could feel out before presenting a proposal. These are all CEOs, by the way, exactly where their head is on money, where their head and heart is on money.
Okay. Cool. And what's the second one?
Second one is that I am noticing in myself a possibility that some of the initial success of this business, success in terms of we found a whole bunch of these ideal clients, I'm finding that probably some of these projects, while they're projects that we can do quite well, I don't know that it's 100% exactly what I want to do. And I think that what I want to do, which is frankly just coach these CEOs rather than do a whole bunch of building them sales funnels, doing some more organizational work, getting a sense that those projects have come to us, we can do them well. I think I would enjoy doing them, but I think I would probably enjoy even more just purely coaching them.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a bit drawn more to the second one. Is that okay with you?
It is. Yeah, I think there's probably, yeah, it is. I'd love if we had some time to wrestle with the first one, but I think you're right that the second is meatier.
All right. Well, let's see if we can deal with the first one quickly and get out of the way.
Okay.
how do you find out about their budget right now?
We present them a proposal after talking through a lot of aspects of what this project is and what the outcomes will be. We present them a proposal in which we say, this is what we think, this is what we feel like the outcome is worth to you. And this is how much it's going to cost to get that outcome.
And do you ask them at all about their budget or?
No. So I've been thinking about the way to word a request like that and thinking about whether it's wise to.
And why do you think it's not wise?
Don't know that I think it's not wise, but one reason that it might not be wise is that there's something very powerful about showing someone a price tag that, while it could cause sticker shock, is justified by also telling them how valuable this outcome was, showing them how valuable that a given outcome will be, connecting those two together. So if I just talk about their budget in isolation, they might get the sticker shock and might blow the whole thing up.
I mean, I just don't think you know. So, I mean, why not just try something and experiment?
Yep. That's where I am. That's probably the best bet.
Great. It sounds like you already have a good answer there. So I'm glad we were able to deal with that pretty quickly. My sense of why the first one wasn't very interesting was, I mean, were you hoping that I would give you some sort of brilliant way to do that very skillfully, or what?
No, I think there's a part of me that is always like, oh, could there be a magic bullet? Could there be some cleverness, some clever strategy? And it's probably just a function of testing.
I mean, you know, if you're looking for just straight advice, I mean, you could ask them what they've spent on previous projects. You can sort of ask them, you know, you can figure out kind of what their budget is in relationship to how much they're making gross, or what, you know, what size this department would be. So there's ways to do it, but I think that you're going to find out way better how to do it if you just try to do it and see what works. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Does that feel handled? Can we put that aside now?
I think we can, yes.
Yeah, cool. All right, so let's go on to the second one. And I want to just talk to the audience for a minute. Sometimes people will bring things that are really practical, and actually to get the practical thing out of the way can be a bit helpful. So even though I wasn't very interested in that, I was like, Dan probably has the answer to this. Just getting it out of the way has it be out of Dan's mind. So I'm doing that sort of on purpose. And it wasn't very coachy. It was a little consulty, and I'm okay with that just to get out of the way. So
I'm totally okay with it too.
Yeah, cool. All right. So what is it exactly that you want? What is the experience you want to have of business?
Joy and fulfillment are big in there. Joy and fulfillment are big in there. A feeling of contribution. Those are a few things that come up.
Okay. It sounds like you would have more joy and fulfillment if you were just purely coaching these CEOs, but it sounds like for some reason you think you can't do that, or that would be hard, or there's some friction there. And can you, yeah.
I'll tell you what the thought pattern is. I don't know whether it's true, but the thought pattern has been something like, and I've done this in the past, so there is a bit of a sample size here. Certain people that I would like to coach in a very general kind of way, rather than telling them that, I have gone with an approach of, hey, you need help growing your business. You need help with sales. And I have a particular skill set there. And so I sell something which is, on the surface, appears to be very sales oriented. And it's usually a combination of sales and coaching. It's usually a combination of sales, consulting, and coaching. And then that gets handled. And then I transition that, having built a lot of trust, to, it's just going to be coaching now. And so I think that there's this, perhaps it relates to the fear of rejection, that I have this view that if I were to just do coaching and just lead with coaching, that will not have as high a hit rate as, oh, there's this sales thing, and then coaching becomes the upsell.
Okay. Welcome, Darren and John. We're talking to Dan, so feel free to drop in questions or comments if you have them. I mean, it sounds like I guess I'm a little confused about what exactly you want, because it sounds like you have a pretty good system to get people into coaching. You have this sort of like, maybe it's an energetic lead loss for you. Like, okay, I'm going to sell
Yeah.
them thing on coaching. You
Yes.
build the trust. And then, but I mean, do you want to just go into just straight coaching them? Or like, are you comfortable with the way things are? Like, I guess I'm a little unclear about what exactly you want.
So am I. That makes two of us.
Cool.
So what exactly do I want? Probably a business. All right, let's think about it this way. Probably a business in which there's, I don't know, something like 20 or 25 CEOs, and they each pay me what in coaching terms is quite a bit of money. And all I do is just coach them. That sounds pretty good.
Cool. And what experience would that give you if you had that?
From where I currently sit, I always have this view, and I've seen it with enough of the clients that I've coached as well as myself, that what we think we want often isn't what we truly want. But from where I sit right now, that feels like the kind of contribution that I could both make powerfully, and when I have done it, feels really great.
So you want to feel really great and make a contribution.
Yeah, I think so.
It feels very,
Is there
whatever you say that you feel very, it feels very theoretical. Like, yeah, that sounds all right. Yeah, I would like a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
How deeply are you connected or disconnected from your desire?
I'm sure there's a level I could get to of deeper connection with it.
I love that. How deeply connected or disconnected are you from your desire?
I don't quite know how to answer that.
Yeah.
I'm not perfectly connected to it, I could say that.
What's it like for you when you want something? Like, what's your experience of it?
It's excitement. It's excitement.
Where do you feel the excitement in your body? Where does excitement live?
It's in my torso. I would say probably my solar plexus.
Okay. Is there anything else or just excitement?
I want something. Make a general observation first, just about, okay, a trend that I have noticed, some of the big changes that I made in my life around slowing down. I think I used to want far more things than I want now. I'm pretty damn happy, right? There's just a level of comfort that I have with where I am, I guess. I spend less time. Part of the reason it's a little hard for me to answer this is there are fewer things I want than used to be the case. But yeah, part of it is excitement. Part of it is excitement. What else is it?
What is it
Connection.
about? Yeah, what is it about wanting fewer things has your relationship to desire change?
Can you try me on that again? Not sure I got that.
Michelle's giving us a hand raise. Hello, Michelle. Wonderful to see you. So I asked a question about sort of like, is there anything else to desire besides excitement? And instead of identifying other things that were to desire, I mean, you do this a lot. You sort of sidestep. I mean, are you present? Are you open to reflection here? Yeah.
Absolutely.
You sort of sidestep questions. You sort of answer the, almost like you had media training. You answer the question you want to have been asked. So you basically, I asked you, is there anything else to desire? And you sort of gave a reason why it's hard for you to touch into that.
I thought you said, What does desire feel like? You were asking me, what do I desire?
No. What else is there to desire besides excitement?
Okay. What other feelings are there to desire? Connection.
Connection.
Love that. Love that.
So you love connection. And when you feel desire, you feel connection.
I feel desire, I feel connection. Yes. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
well, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me think that, think that through. When I feel desire, I feel connection. I don't know that that's totally true. I think I desire connection.
Yeah. I got that as well. When you think about desiring connection, what is that experience like?
I get a feeling of oneness.
And where do you feel oneness?
Everywhere. When it's intense, everywhere.
Where else do you feel oneness?
Where else?
Like what else has you feel like? Is there any other place in your life where you feel
Any other place in my life in which I feel oneness? In friendships and very, very often. Meditation very often. I feel oneness. Playing sports, I feel oneness sometimes.
Why coach CEOs?
I coach CEOs. Good, very good question. I'm watching myself try to sort of answer this in the right way, right? In an interview style way, as opposed to like, what's the real first answer that comes to mind?
Where is desire in your body?
Where is desire in my body? It's a great question. I think it's the solar plexus in the heart.
Okay. Can you go into desire?
Yeah.
Sitting at the center of desire, or as your desire,
Mm-hmm.
why coach CEOs?
Love is the first word that comes to mind.
Hmm.
It's love of CEOs that are human centric. CEOs that are somewhere on a journey of maybe they never have really given that much of a shit about people before, but now they're
I've slowly become less interested in what you're talking about.
all right. Appreciate your honesty.
I loved the love, and then it felt like you got into a product description or like a ideal client description about CEOs.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost you for a minute.
Yeah.
Why do CEOs need love? And why do they need your love?
I think everyone needs love, and I don't think that they get much of it.
Okay. So CEOs need love because they don't get much of it. And why do they need your love?
Why do they need my love? Why do they need my love? hard to come up with something other than it's kind of there to give. I feel an affinity for them, and I feel that my connection and love for them is powerful. I don't know that they need my love specifically. I think.
Does it make you feel uncomfortable to say that they need your love specifically?
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, no, no. It's just a sort of, let's say humility thing. It's just no, I don't think it makes me uncomfortable. Quite willing to say it. Well, I don't think it makes me uncomfortable. I don't know that it's true.
Can I offer reflection?
Sure.
In the places where I want humility from you most is where you bring it the least, and the places where I least want humility is where you bring it the most.
Ooh, interesting. Tell me.
Yeah, the place that most want your humility is around your brilliance because you're very smart, right? And you have the stance of someone who knows. But then when
Mm.
it comes to your love, you get very humble, and I'm like, no, I don't. That's sort of like,
Huh. Huh.
yeah, I'd love for you to be bold and declarative with your love.
Hmm. It
And
feels.
that's just what I want. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. No. 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 I appreciate you saying that. Part of me. So these are mostly, these are 50-year-old male CEOs of small businesses. It feels a little odd for me to be telling them that I love them.
Yeah, I'm not giving you business advice. You should say you love them.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out whether I should tell you my kind of working theory as I'm going through this or not. Part of me wants to tell you, but you're so good at your brain attaching to things, I'm a little bit afraid to. So um, I'm not saying you should tell them you love them, but there is something about your love that's special
Hmm.
that you want to give to them, or you think that they need,
Hmm.
that you feel
Yes.
called to offer them. Yeah,
Yes. You're right. You're right.
yeah.
There is. There is. You're right.
So what is that? What's the calling? What's the invitation?
Well, I think there's so there's a burden they all bear. There's a burden of many of them have confided. There's no one else I can speak to about this stuff. And so there's a loneliness, and the connection oriented part of me is like, I want to connect with you. I want to solve your loneliness.
Are you lonely?
Um, Up to a point, but it's a great question.
Up to a point. What
We're
does
all
that
we're
mean?
all lonely. I think we're all lonely to some degree. But
Again, that feels very intellectual.
I know, I know.
Are you lonely?
You want a yes or no answer?
I don't know. I don't want to. I suppose it's sort
Sometimes.
of like I was sort of like how connected you are to your desire. Well, I could be more connected. You have this very interesting way of like again, this is just my experience of you. As I offer you a question, and you sort of like take the question. It's like a clock, right? You kind of take the question apart, and
Yeah.
you kind of look at it, versus like listening to the clock or allowing the question to penetrate you.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, it's the lawyer training. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's okay, but it's sort of your original question has a very intellectual structure, which is sort of this like either or thing, which is sort of like I can either have a business that's successful or I can coach CEOs the way I want. And I mean, intellectually, it's sort of a choice. Like, there's some advantages to either choice, and there's probably not one or the other that's right.
Mm,
You could create meaning and deep purpose and feel deeply fulfilled by either one. I mean, I think you know that. That's sort of what you said. Like, well, this is also enjoyable, but I kind of sort of more want this. But it's the kind of sort of more want this and what is actually kind of caught inside that kind of sort of more want this that's really interesting to me. That feels pretty like connected off to the side of your being in a way that it's sort of interesting.
could you? Okay, I don't know that I fully understood that. Can you try that? Can you try me one more time?
And I'm not sure I want you to understand it. So that's maybe that was just for other people.
All right.
Do you think if you were lonely, you would really feel it, or do you think it would be hard for you to feel if you were lonely?
I'm sure that there are defense mechanisms.
Yeah, let me try it again. So, so knowing that you have defense mechanisms, do you think if you were deeply lonely, you would feel it, or would it be kind of like would you kind of find a way to separate from it?
I'd find ways to separate. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I
Similar.
feel
What do
that.
you
I really
what do
feel
you
that.
feel there? You
Yeah,
feel yourself separating from it?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. In my stomach. Yeah.
Hmm. Is it that you want CEOs to experience a connection, or do you want to experience connection, or both?
Well, I definitely want to experience connection. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Do I want them to experience connection? Yeah, I watch myself all the time. Hmm. It's certainly the first. I probably think it's the second. Probably think it's the second too. But
Hmm.
it's definitely the first.
Hmm. What kind of connection do you most long for?
I most long for really deep, intimate conversation. I love it. I mean, I think it's a big part of the reason I became a coach. I think it's in all sectors of my life, from business to romance to friendship. I just eat it up. I love it.
Hmm. And what is the experience that you get to have in deep, intimate conversation?
Well, it's certainly feeling seen and heard and validated. It's definitely part of it. Uh, there's something else I'm trying to get my finger on. Growth. Growth comes up for me.
How often do you see, hear, and validate your desire?
Not often. Not often.
What for? What has you not see, hear, and validate your desire?
Lets me not validate my desire. Hmm. Well, one of the things that comes up, I'm sure there's some macho shit in there. I think that's part of the story for sure. For sure.
And what's the macho shit? Which is unmanly to feel desire, or your desire is of a feminine emotional nature, and so you don't want to feel it? Like, what's the macho shit?
Yeah, there's probably something like that at work. There's probably something like that at work. What was the original question again? I've gotten lost in thought and forgotten it.
Yeah, I can imagine that happens a lot for you. I love the way your brain works, by the way. I kind of want to acknowledge you for that. Like, I love coaching you is always a bit of a challenge because you are so smart. But like, it's really interesting to watch your brain work, and like the way it deals with things is very interesting. I really
And
enjoy
I
that.
just so appreciate, if you don't mind me saying, I just so appreciate your willingness to dance with it, and the playful, even when you challenge it, and in the moment there's this sort of grimace and the I just so need that, and the longer term version of me so appreciates that.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I do that. I mean, I have that same problem with my own mind, so that's why there's a bit of a chuckle and appreciation. I resonate with that a lot. So, um, what has you not see, hear, and validate your desire?
What has me not see, hear, and validate my desire? I think it's probably a fear of rejection, again, in all contexts, business, romantic, friendship. I think that's probably it.
So if you're with your desire, you have to be with the fear the desire might not be met.
That's right.
And that's painful. And you'd rather not feel that pain. And so you sort of like find a quick solution for it that sort of satiates it, or you avoid it.
Sounds about right. I think a big pattern is putting it on other people in a way. I'm going to be all about other people, right? And that ensures that you don't have to sit with whatever may be within.
Yeah. Is your desire a burden or a gift? And I'm curious if you had a gut response to that question before you started thinking about it.
Gut response is probably burden. Yeah. Gut response.
What do you think it might cost you to not be able to hold and be in touch with a large amount of desire?
It could actually cost me connection.
What
Ironically,
else?
a thing that I desire.
I don't think it's I don't think it's ironic at all. We could look at I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense, right? It would cost you the thing that you most want, right? Your inability to be with the desire.
Could both make sense and be all right back.
That's fine. We don't need to get into like a whole Alanis Morissette conversation right now.
Yeah.
So cost you connection, anything else?
Cost me connection. It cost me love. And it's so funny. I've noticed myself just prior to this conversation, I was in another conversation in which someone acknowledged me for how connection oriented I am and pointed out, man, this is going to be the key to so much success for you. I think it's a key to fulfillment and success for me. I can lean into it so much. And I've been so grateful for, in this moment of this last 2.5 months of COVIDing, I was frightened to death at the beginning of it, frightened to death that the inability to be with people was going to cause my extroverted self to just disintegrate, right? To be with people physically. And I've experienced extraordinary connection. Again, really, really deep, beautiful connection that I'm so grateful for. So that fear was not realized.
And what might be possible for you if you were able to really feel deeply your desire and sit with it, like hold 2, 10, 100 times more desire than you currently are able to hold?
Keep coming back to connection.
Connection and love are sort of your catch-all buckets.
They seem like it at the moment.
Yeah, I mean they're good.
Do you want this to be less abstract, more concrete, or?
No, it's fine. I'm just noticing.
Yeah.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great, man. You're doing great.
I sometimes feel there's this giant Toku test it's like this perpetual toku test. And my logical mind almost wants to know, like, am I passing the toku test? Must pass toku test.
All my tests are unpassable. My test is full and complete awakening, right? So no one's ever passing that test. It's an interesting reflection. Yeah. I don't have it that you have a right or wrong answer, but there is, I think that there's a piece of that I can own up to, which is that there is something I do want something from you. I'm wanting to experience a certain kind of embodiment or depth of connection with yourself. I find myself often really longing for that with you.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love that. That's so helpful. That's so helpful.
Yeah. Do you long for that with yourself?
I've been working on it, but is it? It's not.
Yeah, but
It's not.
do you long for that from yourself?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you have been working at it, man. You're very reliable to do the work.
Yeah. Yeah. Do I want it?
Not do you want it? I'm being very precise in my words. Do you long for it?
I long for it. Mm. Hmm. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Took me a while to get there, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes even many dimensions of meditation, I slot them into a certain spiritual bucket, right? One can orient oneself in such an immersive way to one's thoughts. And so there are times where I look at sort of different types of meditation practice. And if I were to, the easy route for me is very often gravitating towards let's mess around with my relationship with thought, as opposed to embodiment. And by taking into my body, by you taking me into my body, I think there's just a tremendous opportunity. There's so much fear. There's so much fear. Fear has historically most manifested itself when it comes to sleep for me. I'm frightened to death sometimes of just waking up in the middle of the night with thoughts racing a million miles a second, right? Frightened to death of that. And I've noticed over the past while that, let's call it 6 months or so, that while I sort of solve sleep issues with meditation that has me at this sort of comfortable relationship with my thoughts, whenever I do some other forms of meditation, a couple in particular come to mind that let's call them very unguided, extremely long, an hour of me being in my body, it tends to it's such a mind fuck for me that I get really confused, right? It's like the mind, there's something about the mind-body connection that is so messy for me that it seems to like wake me up. And I'm so terrified of waking up in the middle of the night at times. I've historically been very terrified of that.
Yeah, and tell me, I'm trying to understand that. What is frightening about that? Just sort of like being at the mercy of your mind, or fear of insomnia, or what is the fear?
Some fear of insomnia. There's a fear that I will not perform well the next day, right? that the things that I must do, I will be less effective at. And so I am my best self. I contribute the most if I've had a restful night's sleep. Is sort of a thought. It's a thought pattern. I have no idea whether this is making any sense to you. It's sort of garbled, but
That makes perfect sense. What if the world wants a less perfect version of you that's more loving?
that very thought came to me 2 nights ago at 4 a.m. Yeah, exactly. The illusion of control, right? Performance and illusion of control are very closely related.
Yeah, you strike me a bit as a very tightly wound machine,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not a machine.
Mm-hmm.
You're a human man
Mm-hmm.
trying very hard to operate like a machine
Mm-hmm.
and trying to make a decision sort of like a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if you may be at the point of bankruptcy of the machine.
Mm-hmm. I have no idea. No idea.
Neither do
I don't know.
I.
I hear the thought. I hear the thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
The machine certainly has bugs in the programming, no question.
I don't think it does. I think it's got humanity.
Mm-hmm.
I think the misunderstanding is that you think you're a machine and you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And you think that the way to get more utility out of life, there's a sort of lens of utility that you keep looking through over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing wrong with utility. I mean, like, I love that you're effective at your job, but I mean, to use an example, right? Like a program is only ever as good as the programmer, right? And so if you're writing a program to achieve a certain kind of life that isn't actually very satisfying, you could build that program very, very well and be very successful at that, but it won't actually be satisfying. And to me, that's a bit of the dilemma you brought, which is that, like, look, I built this program, Toku, and it built this successful business, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not actually what I want. And what do I do? And I'm like, well, you built a particular program and it gives you particular kind of results. And you're right. And then if you break that program, you will stop getting those results. It doesn't mean you won't get results. It just won't be those results. And likely you will take a hit when it comes to results of money. But the question is, what game do you want to play? Do you want to play the game of building the perfect machine that gets you what you don't want? Or do you want to play the game of, like, getting what you want? And I think fundamentally, again, this is my guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
fundamentally, the machine has done the superstructure that you've built on top of your real life feels so much more real to you than what's actually going on, that you don't actually know what you want because you're very out of touch with desire and very out of touch with the pain of being alive and
Yeah.
very out of touch with sort of, like, and
Yeah.
there's this, like, I don't want to get in touch with it because it's produced all these thoughts, but the thoughts are really just an indication of what you're operating on top of.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
How does that land with you?
Well, of course, I mean, of course, there's resistance. There's much truth in it. There's definitely much truth in it. Listen, I feel a great deal of joy and gratitude for where I am in many respects. So I think the overall picture, I do not resonate with. Many aspects of it I do. I think there's a lot of truth in it too. I think, I think there's also just a lot of gratitude and joy that I feel on a daily basis. And so I think, the terms that you cast it in may be deliberately provocative. I think, that doesn't feel to me like the full picture, but I think there's a lot of truth. I think there's a lot of truth in it. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of truth in it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you're sort of secretly miserable, or that your life needs to be bad to be in touch with the quote unquote pain of life. Like, there's just a certain amount of pain in life, right? There's a certain amount of loneliness and frustration and dissatisfaction that sort of just exists at a certain level.
Yeah.
And I think our ability to feel and experience those deeply is really a gift.
Mm,
Uh, and it feels, this is again my guess, it feels a little bit like you've projected it out on the CEOs without
mm,
really owning it yourself.
mm, mm.
Again, just a guess.
Yeah, no, no, no. I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot to that. I will definitely chew that over.
I mean, I actually am not very enrolled in the idea of you chewing anything over. If I were to give you a specific practice to really dive into this, it would be to find a thing that you desire, whatever that is, and to really sit with it. And the way David Data talks about this in the book Way of the Superior Man, where he says a beautiful woman comes by and there's a natural like we want to look at her or we want to go after her, date her, but to allow the desire for her to feel it all the way down into your toes and to really feel the depth of that desire. Because I think that, intellectually there's actually not a reason for you to go after coaching CEOs.
Mm,
Like your business is, it seems like it is quote unquote easier or more successful, or you have more reliable, predictable results doing what you're currently doing now. And so without some deep connection to your desire, then you're basically living the life that is sort of like subjugated desire to the purpose of intellect. Like you're
mm,
sort of getting those results, which you could just say like, hey, I'm going to be satisfied with that, which would be wonderful.
yeah,
But my sense is that you want something more from life than that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I
Cool.
want to be really clear, nothing wrong with what you're doing now. I mean, it's what you're doing now is amazing. And I think you're helping a lot of people, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think it can come from a deeper place. And I think you can serve people from a deeper place. And
yeah.
again, that's just my guess. I mean, I could be totally wrong about all this.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah. What if that got in or didn't get in or bounced off or what? I'm kind of curious. It's because it
I,
didn't feel like a lot of it got in, which I'm okay with, but I'm just checking.
sorry, you're saying you don't feel like a lot of it got in?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. You have a
Yeah,
very interesting way of kind of like, oh, I'll take a look at that. But like, I don't really know if you're going to take a look at it or if you're just sort of being polite. I have a hard time telling the difference
I,
with you.
I really will. I really will. And I think there's a ton of truth in what you're saying. I think there's a ton of truth in what you're saying. Yeah, I think there's a deeper level. I think there is absolutely a deeper level of meaning that I can experience. No, no question.
How quickly do you define things as either true or not true for you?
I see middle grounds everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with middle grounds,
Yeah, I know
right?
you are. Yeah. So here's my invitation for all the things that I offered. Because
Yeah,
again, they're a lot of a read for you, right? There's sort of my toku read
yeah,
rather than sort of an invitation. Um, my invitation would be that you try them on and see like, oh, what happens if I lean into my desire or really feel my desire? Or like, oh, what experiences or feelings am I like not willing to go in fully? So not to say what I'm saying is true or what you're saying is true, not to listen to the lens of right or wrong,
mm,
right? But to really say like, oh, there's something about what Toku said is interesting to me. I'm just going to try it on and see what happens when I try it on. I think you'll get a lot more from it if you do that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Even if I am totally wrong, which I could be.
Invitation totally accepted.
Okay, cool. Um, all right. Is there anything I'd like to acknowledge you, but is there anything else you need to feel complete for today?
You know, I think it's so easy. I guess I'll say that it's you know it's easy to be hurt when you feel like you're described as a machine, right? That does hurt a
Mm,
bit for sure.
mm.
That does hurt a bit, right? I'm a bit bothered by it. Uh, I'm glad you did though. I'm glad you did because it's part of what you're saying, right? It's enabling me to have this embodied experience, right? To just be with whatever the frustration is. Um, but yeah, it's definitely, I'm frustrated by that for sure.
Yeah. You're frustrated that I described you as a machine?
Yep. Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
And you're frustrated about it because you don't want to be a machine or you thought you've been a machine in the past and you thought you got over it. Like what has you be frustrated by
Yeah.
it?
I think it's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like I got over it at least to some degree.
Oh yeah. And I think you definitely have.
Yeah.
I want to be really clear. I think you definitely have. I mean, I want to really acknowledge you for like, I've seen you really get into your heart more and more ever since I've known you. And I felt more and more connection and love for you every time we meet.
Mm,
And I am a stand for the exquisite art of your life. So
mm,
I hope that in sort of like pointing to like, hey, there's more, there's more, there's more, to keep looking, don't stop.
yeah,
I'm sorry that I stepped over all the progress you have made, because you have made a lot.
yeah. It did feel like that a bit, but I really appreciate you saying that,
Yeah,
and really appreciate you just in general.
yeah. And I also want to be really clear that I really appreciate the machine, because
Mm,
there is something about your brilliance and the way that you work with the world that is incredibly effective. And you wouldn't be you if it was just all heart, you would be some sort of poet, artist, and long hair. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so I don't want to get rid of the machine. I love the aspects of
It's
your
pretty
machine.
long. You should see the COVID hair is really out of control,
You're such a hippie.
right?
Yeah, I don't want to get rid of the machine. The machine is beautiful about you. I want you to have the choice, and
Mm,
I want to feel the machine driven from heart. That's
mm,
all.
mm.
And that's what I sort of hear like you're asking for. I mean, I didn't hear that correctly, but you're like, oh, I want to be driven more by desire than by intellect.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, that's the biggest. That's my journey. If you wanted to sum up my journey,
hmm,
it's that's it.
yeah, yeah. And so then my invitation for this next step is like to really like get that there is a depth of desire that you could be in touch with and feel that could really serve the direction you move your life in. I don't think you have to like discover it or rile it up. I think it's really there. You just have to feel it. Yeah,
And I think I even without anyone telling me any other practice, I think I know how to feel it.
yeah. Good. Anything else you need to feel complete for today?
I think that's great.
Okay. Man, I really want to acknowledge you for well, first for your brilliance. Like you're one of the most brilliant people that I know.
Oh,
Um, and I often I was like, oh, I wish I had Dan's brilliance for business. Like you're just so brilliant when it comes to that. And then you bring your brilliance in a way that's really powerful and serves people. I think has people be present to the possibility of coaching because you're so brilliant. Um,
mm,
and then I really want to acknowledge you for your heart and your courage and willingness to continuously open up your heart,
mm,
right? Because I get how scary that is, you know. To feel that and be that vulnerable is yeah, it's a lot. And your willingness to like continue to do that even when like honestly like your life would, like you said, like your life's going pretty well. It's not like you really need to do it, right? You can make plenty of money and have some connection and have some friends and have some experiences. And but your courage and willingness to continue to deepen that part of yourself, mostly because you say you want to,
mm.
is really beautiful to witness and be with.
I've always believed, and I think you have, that life can be pure magic or pure magic. Life can be really, really magic. It can be ultra magical. It can
Yeah,
be really, really ultra magical.
yeah, yeah. I love that. I'm gonna pause and talk to the audience now.
Perfect.
But thank you so much. You can stay on camera, go off. It's really up to you. And please stay on when I stop the recording. I'd love to connect with you for a minute. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, it was an interesting session for me. I've coached Dan before, right? So I kind of know some of his tricks. Um, my sense was that there was some deep desire in there. And I tried in a few different ways to kind of reveal it or bring it out more. And at the end, I sort of offered just a read, and I don't know if that was the right choice or not. Um, and that is often that comes with me a lot. And some coaches sort of like, I don't offer reads. I only, ask questions. But for me, being able to offer a read or offer here's what's going on and let the client sort of react to that is sort of interesting. And with Dan, especially, part of the sophistication of him as a client is that to sort of just ask questions, it can take some time. So being present to time, sort of the hour we had. So let me just offer a read and let him take that in. And I really experienced it having an impact on him. And I don't know if it was the right thing. And part of the challenge is when you offer read, you can sort of step on people. And that came up a little bit in the conversation with Dan, where I stepped on him a little bit by calling him a machine, right? And so there's a way in which you have to clean up if you're willing to take that risk and offer a read. Ultimately, the real thing that I want to draw out for coaches in this session is that if we simply are helping our clients move in a particular direction without really understanding what they want and the experience they want to have, we're going to end up in a place that will sort of fulfill the criteria of successful coaching without actually being very successful. So it's really important that you have especially someone who is very advanced and very good at getting what they want, really understanding on a deep level what it is they want. And it's okay to end the session with, we don't totally know exactly what you want, but having them connected to the thing, the path, the feeling, the energy, the being that will lead them in that direction. So as you coach your clients this week, I really invite you to just look a little bit deeper. What is it they actually want? What is the experience they want to have? What is that going to create for them? Instead of getting so hung up on the structure of what that actually looks like. Because often it's that thing, that desire behind the thing, and their connection to that desire that will actually lead them to having a life that's more fulfilling. And with that, we will end the Coaching Dojo Live. Thank you again, Dan.
Thank you, Koku.